My name is Ashton Eaton, born and raised in Oregon. I'm a two-time Olympic gold medalist in the Decathlon and a board member at Sport Oregon. So I played a lot of sports growing up. My first was baseball, and then I think from there just kind of snowballed. Martial arts, soccer, football, track and field, cross country, basketball. And by the time I got to high school, I just focused in on track and field and football, and eventually got a scholarship to the University of Oregon for track and field. So for those that don't know, the Decathlon is an event in track and field comprised of 10 events. And they are the 100, the long jump, the shot put, the high jump, the 400. That's on day one. On day two, they're the hurdles, discus, pole vault, javelin, and 1500 meter. My strong suits in the decathlon were definitely the running and jumping, and my weak points were the throwing. So the shot put, discus, and javelin, especially the heavier ones like the shot put. Yeah, everybody likes to call the decathlon winner the greatest athlete in the world, and there's a great history and reason for that. I personally think that it's probably one of the best standardized tests that we have for full-on athleticism. So while I may not call myself the greatest athlete in the world, I think the decathlon is one of the best tests to determine that. The tradition of just sport and track and field around Oregon, it's actually hard to define what it means to me. I mean, my whole life has been changed because of that place and what it stands for, not just for the state, but really for the world of sport at large. I mean, the birthplace of Nike, which is the largest footwear and apparel company in the world. But outside of that, probably one of the brands that has impacted global sport. And so all that I feel like is just what I'm a part of. And it's in many ways just elevated my life and my ability to have impact. Hayward Field is magical because as an athlete, you can go into that stadium and have a performance that you didn't even think was possible for yourself. And that's happened on several occasions for me and for others. Just the shock and awe of crossing the line and how did I even do that? And I think a large part of it is just because of that place. So I met my wife, Brianne Theisen-Eaton, at University of Oregon. She was a heptathlete, also on the track team. And initially we were just teammates and training partners. And eventually I got up the gumption to ask her on a date. This was, Valentine's Day, 2008, 15 years ago. And luckily she said yes, and we've been together ever since. I became a professional athlete in 2010, and I still remember the day I signed the Nike contract. And I was just so elated to be a professional athlete and to represent such an awesome, company and brand. And, from that point on, I went on to the World Championships in 2011, went on to the Olympic Games in 2012 and won and broke the world record. And, that was just off to the races ever since then. And so it kind of culminated at Rio in 2016, winning another gold. It's just the experience of a lifetime. Yeah, the two gold medals, they were both different to me. The first in London, I was 24 years old. I wanted to be a medalist. I wanted to be a gold medalist, and I didn't know if I could do it. And so that achievement was just very much for myself. Like, yes, I did it. I have the ability, and I accomplished a goal. The one in Rio was much different. I knew I was at the end of my career, and I was kind of debating, who is this for? And what I realized was it was for everybody that I was inspiring, the people that were like cheering me on. And so Rio was it was more for others rather than a selfish thing. One of my favorite moments from my career is definitely 2012 Olympic trials in Eugene, Oregon, breaking the world record in the decathlon. I had no idea I was going to do that. I don't think anybody else really knew, and it was just, I think, a special and shocking moment for everybody. And then my other favorite moment was Rio, 2016, when Brienne got her bronze medal. I just saw everything it took to get to that point, being her husband and training partner, and yeah, just incredibly proud. Yeah, I decided to retire after Rio for a few reasons. The first was I kind of had accomplished everything that I could in sport by that point. The second was I was getting older and starting to not perform as well. And I thought, that's a signal that my body is sending me to say, hey, you might be at your limit here. And then the third reason was because, again, I was getting older and I was curious about the world in other ways. And I wanted to kind of transition to what else can I do outside of sport that might have an impact, or outside of being an athlete anyway. And so I was just so curious about that I had to kind of leave and go learn about it. Right now, I'm an innovation engineer at Nike. This is a new role for me. Using some of my mechanical engineering knowledge and applying it to sport. And the reason I'm excited about this is because I have a chance to actually make something physical to advance human performance and kind of be on the other side of sport, where I was the athlete receiving the innovation. Now I can maybe make it for others and see if I can contribute to, somebody getting faster or better or stronger. Outside of working, I like to spend most of my time with my family, my kids. They're 4 and 2 right now, and so they're just at these incredible ages of curiosity and development and discovery. And so yeah, that's really where I like to spend most of my time. If I do have free time outside of that, I really just love to learn. That could be through reading. One of my favorite things to do is actually through travel, learning about just different cultures and nations. My favorite places in Oregon are the coast, for sure. Mount Hood is awesome. And then Bend, Oregon, where I'm from. Central Oregon with the mountains and the lakes and the woods. I just feel like it's super hard to beat. The state has a lot of great stuff. The Gorge is great, all of it. Central Oregon is something I took for granted when I was younger. I think it's one of the best places in the nation, and I think that's been apparent by how much it's grown. People love going there for all kinds of things. I think it's just a really good place, especially with kids now, to raise a family and become an athlete. It's important for me to be a board member at Sport Oregon because I believe that I know that sport has the power to change the world. And I think that's really apparent, again, from looking at the state and what it has done in sport, whether it's products and services or just the teams and clubs and athletes. And so Sport Oregon, with its mission to basically advance that in this state, is something that's just absolutely obvious and intuitive to me.